Hello and welcome to Friday. First, let me say that it's awesome to make a vlog with my camera again, instead of using the webcam and sitting here with my mic and doing my E3 reviews that way. I really dislike that. I like the reaction format, and I think that's a good way to talk about E3 and that kind of thing, but it's nice to hold my camera again. That said, we are going to be talking a little bit more about E3 today. In particular, I'm going to go over kind of how I felt about E3 as a whole in terms of the press conferences and the games that were shown and the news that was released, etc. And then also talk a little bit about some of the other stuff that I didn't mention, because Ubisoft, EA, and Bethesda also had their own press conferences, and I didn't watch them, but I looked up information that came out of them. So this vlog is going to be Skyrim Remastered and what I thought of E3. And I mentioned Skyrim Remastered specifically because I've had so many people on social media be like, "Oh my god, did you see? What do you think?" And of course they want to know my opinion because I played it. I played Skyrim. I played all of it. I played, 300 hours of Skyrim, 100%ed it. So people want to know, and I'm going to talk about it. The first thing I'm going to do is talk about my honorable mentions. These are, not my top things, but things that I thought were really cool and interesting, and I wanted to point them out. And this list is in no specific order. I just threw things down. State of Decay 2 looked really cool. State of Decay 2 was shown in the Microsoft conference, and I had played State of Decay, at least an hour or so of it with Mal, and I thought it was really fun. It's a single-player game, but I'm pretty sure State of Decay 2, at least from what I understand, is a multiplayer game, and that's what that game needed. Like, the idea of it was really fun. Those sorts of games are just better, I think, objectively with more people, and I think that's one to maybe watch out for. The South Park game, Fractured But Whole, or The Fractured Butthole. I watched the trailer for that, and it's pretty fantastic. It wasn't in any of the conferences, but it's funny. I actually never played the first South Park game, not the first South Park game, but the one that came out last, the RPG. It's kind of been on my radar at some point. Like, I want to play it whenever I get time, but this game continues to follow that theme of what South Park does best, and at some point I'd like to play it because it looks very funny. I think in the first one they were parodying kind of like medieval, like Game of Thrones, Lord of the Rings type thing, and this time they're doing like comic book heroes. The whole trailer is about like DC versus Marvel or something like that. So it would be very funny humor for anyone who's into superhero movies and that kind of thing. Sea of Thieves. I'm a little perplexed about Sea of Thieves, admittedly, just because it feels like it's a very specific thing, and it doesn't feel like it's broad enough. But at the same time, maybe they'll prove me wrong. It's a game where, like, you and your buddies are part of a pirate crew, and then there's other people doing the same thing in the same world. That's all I really know. I have faith in Rare because of things they've done in the past, but I've also lost a lot of faith because of some of the crap they've done in the more recent past. So I guess we'll see what happens there. Gears of War 4. I'm mentioning this just because Gears of War continues to create games, and honestly, the trailer wasn't all that bad. It wasn't something I'm like super interested in, but I thought I'd give it an honorable mention because I thought it was pretty good. Final Fantasy 15. Same kind of thing. Like, I'm actually kind of interested in Final Fantasy 15. The first time I've been interested in a Final Fantasy game in a while. But it also looked extremely complicated. Maybe overly complicated. Needlessly complicated. And it was really hard to follow whenever I was watching it in the Microsoft conference. What was interesting is that the Sony conference also had a bit on Final Fantasy 15, but they went in a completely different direction. They were like showing the chocobos and the cars, and between the two, it was cool to see the battle system in the Microsoft one, but I'm really glad they got to show off the more fun stuff in the Sony one. Death Stranding, which is the Kojima Norman Reedus game. We don't know anything about it, and we really don't. I'm doing an honorable mention because I'm excited. I'm excited just because these are the minds that came up with PT to an extent. I mean, Kojima was involved, and Norman Reedus was the actor. I guess we're missing Del Toro, and I don't know if he's going to be involved in Death Stranding or not, but I think just because of all the controversy and the drama that was surrounding that event, to have them actually move into a game, that's just exciting in and of itself. Also, a lot of dead fish. A lot of dead fish, so I guess we'll find out more about that. I'm putting Dead Rising 4 on this list, just because, even though I haven't played 3, just because I really like those games. They're fun and they're funny, and the fact that they're continuing to make them makes me happy, so I'm glad about that. And then last but not least, from honorable mentions, I'm throwing in The Last Guardian. That's not making like my top super cool ones, just because a lot of that hype came out last year. To be honest, everyone thought it was dead, and then last year they were like, "Oh, Last Guardian." Everyone's like, "What?" But it's cool that it has a release date finally. And that's almost mind blowing. I mean, that's a game that's been dead forever. It's at this point, it's kind of like Duke Nukem Forever type thing, except I'm pretty sure that this game will be considerably better than Duke Nukem Forever. And now, without further ado, I have 6 games that I think are definitely worth watching and possibly worth playing. And these are actually in alphabetical order. So they're not in any specific order. I'm just listing them in alphabetical order. I don't think I could put them in an order of super interest. Although, to be honest, I'm looking at it, and for the most part, this is in order. So in the 6th spot is Call of Duty Infinite Warfare. And I would never in a million years would have thought that a Call of Duty game was one of the more interesting things that come out at E3. But it is. I'm not a person that plays Call of Duty. Last one I played was Modern Warfare. But I was watching the trailer for Infinite Warfare before they announced it was Infinite Warfare. And the space combat shooting stuff, I didn't really give a crap about. But whenever they were in space and they were, low gravity shooting, they had the hand grapple and they were grappling in, that was all really fascinating to me. And I was like, dude, that's really cool. And then it came up and it was like Call of Duty, and I'm like, I did not expect that. So yeah, Call of Duty was actually one of the cooler games I thought I saw at E3. Days Gone, which was a PS4 game that they showed several times. It's kind of like a post-apocalyptic zombie world where you're a badass on a motorcycle. And I guess the motorcycle probably plays some key role in the game. It looks interesting. It from what I could gather, it was single player, and I do think that those types of games benefit from being multiplayer. That said, it looks good, and I don't know why it's been 15 years and zombie media has taken over and I'm still not tired of it, but whatever, it's working. I guess keep making it. God of War, which is essentially God of War 4, but Sony got scared and dropped the 4, I guess, and they're just going back to God of War, unlike Gears of War, which was like, no, we'll take the 4. God of War looked great. It really did, and it did make me want to finally sit down and play through 2, because I simply haven't. Resident Evil 7. Resident Evil 7 was the next one. They're going in such a different direction. It made me so happy to see Kojima and Norman Reedus, who had been working on PT, to come together and make something else. And then it made me so happy to see Resident Evil 7 look a lot more like PT. These things, they're not identical things, but the fact that those separately exist, it just made me so happy. Resident Evil 7 looks legitimately frightening, and it's a completely different direction, and I have a feeling that it's going to piss off some, hardcore fans of the series. That said, I don't care, so I'm really looking forward to what they do. Next up is We Happy Few. It was the game where everyone is on drugs, and at the beginning of the game, the guy decides not to take the pill. They just keep taking these pills, and they're kind of in a alternate reality because of all the drugs they're taking. And the drugs are called Joy, which is a great name for them. And the guy sitting at the desk decides not to take his Joy, and then he comes down from this high, and he can actually see what's going on. And instead of beating up a piñata and eating candy, they're actually smashing a dead rat and eating its corpse. The concept of that is great. It's absolutely fascinating, and I would love to learn more about that game, so that's really cool. And then last but certainly not least is obviously Zelda Breath of the Wild, which is coming for Wii U and also the Nintendo NX. I'm pretty sure that was officially announced somewhere. I don't think they said anything about it at E3, but I'm pretty sure it was official somewhere. it looks good. And I think that it's time to have a radical departure from the series formula. Because, like I said during the Nintendo conference, it's extremely formulaic. I mean, it really, really is. And I know that there's hardcore fans of the series. You got to admit that. It's very formulaic. And it works, and it's fun, but it's time to try something new. And from what I've seen, they're doing it. They're going for it. They're saying, yeah, let's keep the basics of Zelda, but then let's just, try something completely different. And that's exciting. I mean, that is legitimately exciting. So I'm really glad that they're doing something like that. And I'm actually really excited to play that. That is a game that I would love to play. I would love to go through blindly with Mao. I think it would be a lot of fun for Stephen Plays. The biggest news was probably Project Scorpio, honestly. Out of all of E3, that was probably the biggest thing, because I did not expect Microsoft to officially announce their console. We've known from, rumors, the rumor mill on the internet, that there's going to be a new PlayStation and a new Xbox probably next year. But for Microsoft to just come right out and be like, yeah, we're working on it. And from here on out, we're going to adopt a new scheme where we're going to be releasing, consoles a little more frequently, more like a PC type thing. Like, I don't really know how the general public is going to perceive that, and I don't know if they're going to be on board for that kind of thing. The fact that there's going to be one game, and whether or not you have the old system or the new system, the game just works, but if you put it in the Scorpio, it looks better, which I'm assuming that's what I got out of that, so I'm pretty sure that's right. I think that's cool, and that's good, and it doesn't alienate your other user base, but still the whole thing is just a little bizarre. And then last but certainly not least, I said I'd talk about the other conferences. So I mentioned like South Park and some other things. For the most part, there wasn't anything really that stuck out to me for EA or Ubisoft, unfortunately. Bethesda, a little bit, yes. And first, I want to talk about Skyrim Remastered, because everyone has been like, what do you think about Skyrim Remastered? I think it's great. And I've kind of been waiting for them to do that too. Skyrim was a fantastic game, continues to sell copies to this day, so why wouldn't they make a new remastered version for consoles? And I put the emphasis on consoles there because I'm pretty sure it's also coming out on PC, and it's just not necessary. If you have a PC version of Skyrim, you have the remastered version, because you can load it up with mods to make it look far better than any console version of Skyrim Remastered would ever look. And I read some comments about people's reactions to Skyrim Remastered, and it didn't really make sense. There was a lot of people that were like really mad, and I understood their idea, like why they were upset, but it really ultimately didn't make any sense, because they said, we already have that. We're playing on PC. We don't need that. Okay, you don't. But there's a lot of people, and I'd probably wager probably more people playing on console that don't have that luxury. So offering up a better looking game with mod support to them is awesome. You should be happy for them. There's a lot of people that were like, where's Morrowind Remastered? Okay, stop. Morrowind, Oblivion, all of those games, they're fantastic games. But it's going to, that's going to be a huge undertaking to try and, remaster them. Skyrim, moving that to PS4 and Xbox One, easy peasy. Maybe we'll get a remastered Morrowind or Oblivion someday, but for right now, let's be happy for our console friends, of which I am one. I am both a console and PC friend, so that they can enjoy a game that looks better and has mod support. And plus, there's probably still some people that have never played Skyrim. Actually, there definitely are, because I'm still getting comments and messages and stuff about people that bought Skyrim because of my Let's Play, still today. So there's people just now experiencing this game, so the fact that they can experience it and it'll look better than ever, that's a plus. And then finally, Bethesda also announced some new Fallout content, which is really cool. What's interesting is that they had a new DLC in March, a new DLC in April, and a new DLC in May. And May was the big one, Far Harbor. But they announced that there was going to be 3 more, which is fascinating. So there's another one coming out in June, another one in July, and then another big one, what I perceive to be a big one, in August, which is the most exciting to me, where you go to, I believe it's called Nuka World, and it's a theme park based around Nuka-Cola. Really cool. Because the other, I don't remember exactly what the other 2 DLC packs are now, but they're kind of like a little odds and ends thing. I think one allows you to build a vault underground, that kind of thing. I'm more interested in the story stuff, so I'm looking forward to going to Nuka World, which is really cool. I gotta admit though, I can't imagine them adding much more Fallout content than that. I mean, that is 6 DLCs. Will they add more? God, I hope so. I really do. I think it'd be awesome if they did another 3 or something, but realistically, will they? Probably not. If I had to guess, I'd say that there's 6 are probably it. Anyway, yeah, that's my thoughts on E3. As far as how it compares to past E3s, I would say probably maybe less, maybe a little less. Last year sticks out so much to me because of The Last Guardian, and they announced Shenmue 3. They were doing Shenmue 3 or doing a Kickstarter. The Final Fantasy VII remake. I think all of these things happened in the Sony conference. Like those things all got announced, and the press conference was crazy and wild, and that was cool. That was really cool. I'm not saying that there's not good things in this year. I'm just saying that I think objectively there's probably been some better years than this one. That said, God of War is great. Zelda is great. What did Microsoft show off? Gears of War 4. Not a huge Gears of War fan. I enjoyed the first one, but I haven't played the other 3. Or the other however many they are. So, can't say much about that. But, all in all, not a bad E3. And I'm looking forward to some of these games. So, long vlog, but we finally covered E3 over the past 4 days. I'd love to hear your thoughts, having seen all of the conferences or heard my opinion on the conferences. What do you think about E3? What was your favorite game to come out of it? What looks promising? What looks interesting? Those are the kind of comments I'd like to see on this video. And we don't have super long to wait for some of these things. There's a lot of games launching in October, and that's just a few months away. And then obviously Zelda's going to be next year, assuming it doesn't get delayed any further. It's also going to be interesting because similar to how Twilight Princess launched on both GameCube and Wii, Breath of the Wild is, I believe, launching both on Wii U and NX, and that's going to be interesting. Like, will we get it for the Wii U, or will we buy an NX to play it on the NX? I don't know. Guess we'll find out. Anyway, that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, let's meet back tomorrow, shall we?